Well guys, the big Nintendo Switch 2 blowout direct has finally happened, and like everybody was expecting, this was easily one of the most insane Nintendo Directs of all time. It was over an hour long and there was just so many incredible announcements and crazy things that were all inside of that Direct, and so there's so many things to cover here, and so I kind of waited a little bit to gather all of my thoughts here. And so in this video, I'm going to be going over pretty much all of the new information that has come out from the Direct and even some of the other information that wasn't in the Direct that came out after, and kind of just giving some of my general thoughts about it. So we're going to be going over all of the good stuff, but also some of the stuff that people are a little bit disappointed by as well, and I'll just share kind of all of my thoughts, and then you guys can let me know how you feel about everything down below in the comments. So the first thing that we have here is just some basic information about the system itself, and honestly Nintendo gave some more technical information than I was expecting, because they actually have a lot of technical information here up on their website that you can take a look at. But even inside of the Direct itself, we actually got some pretty decent information. And so the first thing is that the screen on the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be an 8-inch 1080p LCD display, so it's not going to be OLED like what we have on the OLED model. However, it is going to be better resolution, as the one on the current Switch is just 720p. This one's going to be 1080p, so stuff will just look much sharper on it. But they did also say that it's going to be a vivid LCD display, so I think they're still trying to have it be bright and colorful, as opposed to like the kind of bare bones one that we got with the original Switch back in 2017. So I think it will be better. But the really cool thing is that they also announced that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have support for HDR in both handheld mode and docked mode. And so docked mode, if you've got a compatible TV or monitor that has HDR support, this is going to allow for you to have a much better range of colors and deeper blacks and more colorful, richer colors that you're going to see on your display. So that's really nice to see. I can't wait to try that out with some games. There even seems to be like 3D audio, where you're going to be able to have more detailed audio that you're going to hear in your headphones and stuff, and be able to kind of hear like different sound and sound effects in your surroundings and things. So that's going to be cool as well. And they also confirmed the storage that's going to come with the system. So it is not going to be like the measly 32 gigabytes that we usually get. Now we're getting 256 gigabytes of internal UFS 3.1 storage. And they also announced that you are still going to be able to upgrade it using micro SD cards. However, it's only going to be brand new micro SD express cards, as these ones are going to offer better read and write speed. So these are the only ones that are going to work with the Nintendo Switch 2. They even specified like the ones that you have on your current Switch, if they're not like the micro SD express style, you're not going to be able to use them on the Nintendo Switch 2. And then one of the crazy things that they announced is that the system is in fact going to be capable of outputting to 4K in docked mode. The dock even has a fan on it, so you're going to have better cooling and stuff. But honestly, one of the craziest things that I never thought was going to happen that actually got announced inside of this is that the system is gonna be capable of 120 FPS. Like, this was a rumor that came out like a few weeks before the Direct that I didn't even make a video on because it just sounded so stupid. I was like, Nintendo always cheaps out on hardware. There is no way that they're gonna have a system that's gonna be 120 FPS, but I was actually so shocked when they showed that, because I couldn't believe it. And we even have some first-party games that are gonna be capable of outputting in 120 FPS, which is crazy. And so Nintendo really kind of future-proofed the system now, because you don't really need higher than 120 FPS when it comes to consoles. You can go higher than that on PC, but PS5, Xbox Series X, all of those cap at 120 FPS, so that's pretty much all you need. And this is really going to be perfect now all the way up until 2032 or whenever this generation decides to end. We also got a look at the brand new Pro controller, and it does look very similar to the current one that we have right now, but it does have a new C button on it, which I'll talk about next for what that does. And it also has programmable buttons on the back handles here, which is making me very excited as well, because these can be mapped to any other input. And because of that, I really want to try this out with like Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade X, where in those games for the combat, you're using the D-pad a lot because you have to shift through like all of these different arts that you have for which attack you want to do. And because of that, you have to take your thumb off of the L stick, so you can't move your character anymore. But if you map like the D-pad left and D-pad right to like these back handles, now you can still use your thumb on the L stick to move your character around, but you could just press those back handle buttons to be able to shift through all of your different attacks and be able to use them still with pressing holding A with your right thumb, and I feel like this could really change the game for how those are played, so I really want to test that out, and I feel like it could be a lot of fun, so that's really awesome. And then the Pro Controller also has an audio jack, thankfully, so we can finally use this with voice chat, but also just being able to play these games in docked mode and just having them heard inside of our headphones if you don't want to disturb anyone, so that is very nice to finally see as well. Now, we have been wondering about this mysterious C button for the longest time, and we finally now officially know what it's going to be for, and like what a lot of people were suspecting, it is in fact going to be for game chat that is now going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2. So finally, Nintendo is really branching out to making their online actually fun, because this time now, with game chat, you are in fact going to have voice chat baked into the system itself. You're going to be able to use that because the system itself has a microphone that you're going to be able to talk into, but I'm sure you're also going to be able to put like a headset into your Pro Controller and use that as well, and other microphones and things like that. So you're finally going to have voice chat now baked into the system. Welcome to like 2005 Nintendo. But we also have other crazy things that Nintendo is doing as well. So the whole like rumor about the camera thing is true as well, because the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have a camera accessory that you have to buy separately, but you can hook it up to the USB-C port on the top of the system and use that to basically be able to show like your face now while you're playing games. So even if you've got friends far away and you're racing each other in Mario Kart and you guys each want to show like your reactions to things, you can actually see like your faces and stuff now too. So they're really kind of going all in now and having like this really fun kind of gameplay experience with friends even online. So I'm really happy to see that. Honestly, I don't think that the whole video chat and everything was even needed, but hey, I'm not really gonna complain. I'll probably just be using voice chat, but it is really nice to see. And there's even going to be screen sharing too, where you can be playing different games and showing your friends what you're doing, but at the same time, this is also going to be so fun if like your friend is struggling with something or can't find a secret and you want to show them, well, you can have them just share their screen and you can kind of guide them through like what to do and stuff. So this is also a really nice feature. There was a little bit of kind of choppiness and lag to it when they were showing this in the video, but I'm honestly kind of glad that they're doing this because it's kind of showing you that it's not going to be like super seamless, perfect looking online, but this is kind of like what the quality is going to be like. So I'd rather have them be more transparent about this, and instead of like putting like kind of like a fake video where it's running like beautifully and like kind of giving like that false advertising that it's going to be perfect. So I'm honestly fine with it. It is kind of to be expected when you're streaming a game like that with having your face cam and your gameplay and everything to 4 other people. So it might be like the less people you have in the call, then it's not going to be as laggy, but we'll kind of have to test that out when it comes out. Now, something really cool is that it seems like the Nintendo Switch 2 is basically going to have like what the download play was on the Nintendo DS, where if you remember, you could kind of like share a game with somebody even if they didn't have the game, but they had the system. And it seems like basically locally, you're going to be able to do that with Nintendo Switch 1 systems and Nintendo Switch 2 systems. So that's really cool that you can do that, but you could also seem to do some game sharing stuff online where that's going to be dependent only with Nintendo Switch 2 systems, but it still seems really cool that you can actually kind of like share like a little bit of your game and still have other people be able to play with you even if they don't actually have the game. So I'm honestly very happy to see this coming back. We also did get official confirmation about the mouse controls, but to be honest, they didn't make as much of a deal about this as I thought they would. Like, I really thought they were going to talk a lot about this and go over why it's so cool and stuff like that, but they kind of just spent a couple seconds like going over like, yeah, you're going to be able to use the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Con as a mouse, and that's pretty much it. Like, they didn't even talk about what you're supposed to do if you don't have like a desk or something near you, so I feel like they pretty much just want you to use this in tabletop mode or if you've got like a flat surface or something near you. But we did get to see a few games that are kind of going to be based around it. So the first thing is we got to see a game called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and it seems like this is going to show you some of the features and things that your Nintendo Switch 2 is capable of. The worst part about this is that this game is actually going to be a paid game that's going to be digital only. I really feel like this game should have been a pack-in title. This really gives me like Astro's Playroom vibes, like on PlayStation 5, where that game comes with your system and you can kind of check out some of the cool things your PS5 can do. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour really sounds like that type of game that I feel like would have been really cool if it came with everyone's system and everybody could kind of check it out and stuff, but the fact that it's going to cost money, I don't really think I'm going to be getting it, but that's kind of what happens when you make a game like that. But it also seems like they're making another game called Dragon Drive, where it's kind of like these wheelchairs where you're going to be like a character in a wheelchair and you're supposed to use the mouse controls to kind of move like the wheels and move around, and then you're going to be playing basketball essentially. It's kind of like a spin on Rocket League, but you're going to be on wheelchairs and you're going to be shooting baskets and stuff. So I don't know how competitive or how deep this game is. Like, it might seem like kind of just like a small scale type of game, or maybe it is going to have like a lot more features and stuff and it's going to be kind of a pretty big game. But on the surface, what they kind of showed, it doesn't really seem like it's going to be like a super crazy big type of game like what they were doing for ARMS, but I am going to be interested to see more information about it. Now, we also did get official confirmation that Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games are in fact a real thing. So yes, there are in fact going to be Switch 1 games that are going to get enhanced and upgraded on the Nintendo Switch 2, and that is something I really wanted to see. We got to see a handful of them inside of the Direct, so one of them is going to be Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is actually going to be getting a pretty big update that's going to be adding like new mini games that are going to use the mouse controls. It seems like there's even going to be support with like the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, and you can have like people's faces and stuff show up if you want to use that type of capability. But then we also have some other enhancements like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are going to be getting just more simpler, like higher resolution, better frame rates, HDR and stuff. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is going to be getting like an entire new story where it's going to have like this star-crossed world content where it's going to be like new stuff in there. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to have mouse controls to be able to like aim around where you want to shoot and stuff, but you're also going to have two modes for playing the game where you've got 4K 60 FPS in terms of quality mode, but also a 1080p 120 FPS mode, which sounds really crazy too, like if you want to have like the most accurate, like really buttery smooth performance. So that's going to be really fun to check out as well. That's going to be super cool. And then we can also see that Pokemon Legends ZA is going to be getting a Switch 2 version as well, so that's so cool. This is one of the first Pokemon games that is in 60 FPS in like so many years. I think the last one was Pokemon Emerald. That's how long we've been playing Pokemon games in 30 FPS. So to have a Pokemon game now in 60 FPS, that is so crazy. It's going to have better resolution and colors and stuff on the Switch 2 as well. So that's going to be awesome. That is definitely going to be how I'm going to be playing that game this year. But yeah, it was just cool to see that there are going to be enhancements now happening to Switch 1 games. I was really hoping to see one for Xenoblade, but we didn't get to see one for any of the Xenoblade games. I am hoping that there are still going to be more that they're going to be showing later down the line. Now, on Nintendo's website, it also does mention here updates coming to other Nintendo Switch games, and I don't think that all of these are for adding better enhancements like resolutions and frame rates and stuff. It says here that some of them do add support for features such as like game sharing so that you can play multiplayer with somebody who doesn't have the game. But it does say here that there are going to be a couple of games that are still going to be getting updates. So we can see here that like Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom are going to be getting updates. Hopefully for those, they're going to be fixing like the frame rate and stuff like that, because I have heard that those games do have like frame rate issues and they can dip. We also see Pokemon Scarlet and Violet here. Really hoping that we get like a big performance increase to those games because they definitely need it. But we also see some other games here as well, like Mario Bros. U Deluxe and Odyssey and 3D World and stuff like that. So hopefully more games are going to be getting this, because I think that this could be really good for a lot of games. Now, when it comes to how these upgrades are going to work, basically, if you don't have the game at all, you're going to be able to buy an entire Nintendo Switch 2 Edition version of the game, so that's going to include all the new content and the enhancements and everything like that. But if you already own the game on the current Nintendo Switch, you're going to have to pay a fee to be able to upgrade the game to the Nintendo Switch 2 version. They did say something along the lines of like NSO, where if you have the expansion pack for Nintendo Switch Online, you are going to get enhancements for certain games. They showed like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because those are pretty much just getting simple enhancements like having better resolution and frame rate and stuff like that. But some of the more ambitious kind of Switch 2 editions, like how we saw with like Super Mario Party Jamboree getting new mini games and Kirby and the Forgotten Land basically getting entire new story content, you are in fact going to have to pay for those. And we don't have the exact official pricing from Nintendo of America themselves, but apparently they did post it in terms of like the Japanese version, but we don't know exactly how it's going to exchange and convert over. But it seems like for these smaller upgrades, like if you don't have Switch Online and you still want to be able to upgrade like your Breath of the Wild to like the Switch 2 version and have better frame rate and stuff like that, you're going to have to pay around $10. But it seems like for the more substantial kind of upgrades, like having more mini games and like the new story content for Kirby and stuff, those seem like they're going to be $20. So I guess it's going to kind of depend on how big of an upgrade it's going to be. If it's a simple just kind of frame rate or resolution bump, it'll be like $10. If it's going to be actual new content, it's going to be around $20. But we'll have to wait and see official confirmation from Nintendo of America, because those are pretty much just like the Japanese prices converted into US dollars. It could be a little bit different. They also announced that GameCube games are in fact coming to Nintendo Switch 2, and they're only going to be for Nintendo Switch Online on the new system, so that is pretty cool as well. We were wondering if GameCube games were going to come to the Nintendo Switch 2, and it does seem like that makes sense now. There was also like that leak that happened for like some GameCube controller, which we can see here as well, so yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. We do now have Wind Waker on the Nintendo Switch. Even if it isn't the HD version, we can still play the original, so that's pretty cool. They showed Soul Calibur 2, which was really cool as well, and so it's just cool that we are going to have GameCube games that are going to have capabilities and you're going to be able to play online with people and just have those games that are now going to be on Nintendo Switch 2 online. And they also show some other games that are going to be coming, like Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness, games that people have been asking for to come to a modern system for the longest time, so I can't wait to finally be able to play those games because I never was able to play them and I really do want to, so that's going to be a ton of fun. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to that. It does make a lot of sense, and I mean, a lot of people were hoping for that, so hopefully we can see like Wii games and other things like that in the future as well. This would be really awesome. Now, we were speculating a lot about some big third-party support going into this direct, and we absolutely got that, as we got the announcement that Elden Ring is in fact coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of people were thinking that that was going to be the case, and it is in fact happening. And so to be a Nintendo player who doesn't have like a PlayStation or an Xbox or PC and have a Game of the Year winner, like huge multi-platform game like this coming to your Nintendo system is kind of insane and a huge deal. So that is already really insane. We got to see some other stuff too, like Street Fighter 6, literally one of the newest like Street Fighter games and like a brand new modern fighting game, just being able to come now to a Nintendo system is amazing to see as well. Cyberpunk 2077, also another very high fidelity, huge multi-platform game available now on a Nintendo system. So just games of this level now being able to come to the Nintendo Switch 2 is really stuff that is kind of just surreal to see, and it is hopefully going to be what we see now for a lot of games, and so that should be really awesome. We also got to see stuff with like Deltarune and Silksong, which people have memed about those for the longest time, about how we just haven't gotten any updates, and so to get those games inside of this too, that's really crazy. And we also got the announcement of one of my favorite games that I was really hoping was gonna come. Final Fantasy VII Remake is in fact coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. They even said stay tuned for other details with other games in the trilogy, which is definitely hinting that Rebirth is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. Makes sense. If it's already on Steam Deck, there's no way that that game wouldn't be able to run on the Nintendo Switch 2, so that's amazing, and I'm sure the third game is going to come as well, so having that entire trilogy available on the Switch 2 is also just really incredible to see as well. So yeah, that's just really good for third party. But then one of the craziest announcements is just a whole brand new FromSoft game called the Duskbloods, where it's essentially just like a whole brand new FromSoft game. It kind of looks like Bloodborne, a lot of people saying it's like a spiritual successor to Bloodborne, just not titled that, and it's going to be an exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. And so to have a game like that, like a huge exclusive from FromSoft on a Nintendo system, and it's only going to be on that, that's a huge deal as well. I know a ton of people who are actually going to buy now a system just to be able to play this game because it's that much of a deal for them. And so it's just really crazy to see all of this type of stuff now when it comes to third-party support with a Nintendo system. And of course, we still have the brand new Nintendo games to talk about as well, and so they opened up the direct with the brand new Mario Kart game, and it is not called Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart 10 or X or anything like that. It is called Mario Kart World, and this Mario Kart game turned out to be way more ambitious than I thought it would. Like literally this entire game is basically just open world with a bunch of tracks that are like seamlessly integrated into the world itself, and that is something I was not expecting at all. Like I really thought it would just be a typical Mario Kart game with just a lot of big tracks, but the fact that you can free roam and just go anywhere you want in the world and just drive around and stuff, and the fact that all of the tracks are interconnected together is insane too, because that means when you do it like a Grand Prix, you're just gonna drive from one track immediately into the next one without a loading screen or anything, which is super insane. And then also at the same time, there's 24 racers, there's an elimination mode, which is something that I've been asking for the longest time. Like this game is actually way more ambitious than I thought it would be, and this is honestly kind of insane. Like, there's so many crazy characters. They just added like a bunch of random enemies. The Moo Moo Meadows cow is in the game. Like, it is really all over the place, and I cannot believe it. It looks incredible though. I cannot wait to try this out and see all the gimmicks and everything, and we still don't even have all the information about it because there's going to be a special direct for it in a few days, so that's going to be really cool to see as well. I can't wait to learn pretty much everything there is to know about this next generation Mario Kart. We also got Zelda Age of Imprisonment, so this is basically what they did with like Age of Calamity, where it's a prequel that's taking place before Tears of the Kingdom, where Zelda and the Zonai are basically working together to stop like Ganondorf and stuff. Now, apparently they actually said that this time the game is going to be canonical. I don't know how much I buy into that because I think they said the same thing for Age of Calamity as well, and then they had that whole time travel craziness with like everybody coming from the future at the end of the game, and that kind of really soured it for me. I would love to see this game be an actual canonical story that easily leads into Tears of the Kingdom and has everything make sense, but the fact that it's going to be on Switch 2 should hopefully mean now that it's not going to be like a slideshow and running awful like what Age of Calamity was running like, so that's really good. And then we also got the announcement for what Sakurai has been working on, and it is in fact a Kirby game. The man was not chained to Smash Bros forever. He actually got to go back to Kirby, and he's making Kirby Air Riders, a sequel to Kirby Air Ride, which is so awesome. I know he even said in some of his videos like he wanted to go back to Kirby if he was given the opportunity, so to have a new Kirby game, and it's also scheduled for this year, that's just going to be really awesome to see. I cannot wait to learn more information about that game. And then finally, Nintendo ended off the Direct with a brand new 3D Donkey Kong game, like an entire sequel basically to Donkey Kong 64, an entire 3D Donkey Kong where you can go in any direction and stuff. Like, this is incredible. It is using the Donkey Kong like redesign for Mario Kart, so I guess this is going to be like an actual new Donkey Kong design for this generation. I would expect this one to come into Smash at this point now too, but yeah, we have a whole new Donkey Kong game, and what's interesting is this game is coming out in July, so I wonder what the entire like holiday schedule for this is going to be, because I wonder if Nintendo might have like another Direct at some point later where they talk more about like fall Switch 2 games and things like that. That should be interesting to see as well, but either way, this Donkey Kong game looks incredible. I could see a lot of fun coming out of this, and there's so many things that we don't know about it. Maybe there's even multiplayer and stuff, so that's going to be really amazing to see as well. But yeah, with all of that information, you might have noticed that Nintendo did not talk about pricing for anything inside of the Nintendo Direct, and well, there is a reason for that, and it is what has been causing a lot of controversy and backlash already, which is the prices for this are actually kind of insane. So the first thing is the Nintendo Switch 2 system itself is not $399.99 like what we all had hoped for. Nintendo is in fact going to be pushing it to that $449.99. And so we did speculate about that possibility potentially happening, and yeah, it just seems like whatever price people really expect, Nintendo always goes a little bit higher than that. Even with the original Switch, we all thought it was going to be $249, $250 seemed like the perfect price for the Switch, and then it ended up being $300. For this, we all thought it was going to be $400. Nintendo ended up making it $450, but really that wouldn't have even been as bad. But the real controversy comes from the fact with some of the pricing with the games, because Mario Kart Tour is going to be an $80 game, which is just absolutely insane, because we were all going into this expecting Nintendo to finally make their next generation games be $70. Like, everybody thought like, okay, Nintendo's gonna move to 70, everybody else has been doing it, but not a single soul, nobody was expecting games to become $80. And so it seems like this is gonna be for select games, because Mario Kart World is $80, but the new Donkey Kong game is $70, which is still expensive, but that's like the next gen pricing that everybody was kind of expecting. But with this now, I think Nintendo essentially is now creating like a quadruple A type of game, because AAA games like the Donkey Kong game are going to be $70, but then Nintendo might have like these quadruple A games that are like so ambitious and insane to them that they're just going to price them at $80, and like that's just insane. Because for me, dude, I paid $70 for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that is like one of the most expansive, huge, insane, content-rich games that I got on my PS5, and I still thought that that was expensive. But to pay even more than that for a Mario Kart game is just ridiculous. And obviously the game will sell. We know Nintendo fans are gonna buy it. Mario Kart is the best-selling game on every system. This will still be the top of the chart game for the Switch 2 generation, but it's just insane, because I wonder now what's gonna happen with like some of the other really crazy like quadruple A games essentially now. Like, is the next Smash Bros game gonna be $80? Animal Crossing $80? Like, that's kind of ridiculous now if that's what they think like some of these huge games should be. And that's really what's kind of created a lot of controversy, because another big thing is that Europeans get even more screwed over than people in the US, because for them, physical versions of these games are even more expensive for some reason. Because for us in the US, $80, it is the case, and it's very expensive, but if you buy the game physically or digitally, it's $80. But for Europeans, for some reason, it is the digital version of the game is going to be 80 euros, but then if you want the game physically, you have to pay 90 euros. Like, it's just absolutely insane. Now, we also have some information about how physical games are going to be like on the Nintendo Switch 2. So for one, all Nintendo Switch 2 games are going to be a red cartridge compared to like the black ones that we have on the current Switch, so it's going to be very easy to tell the difference between the two. And it also seems like the physical versions of these games are going to come in red cases, so that's going to make it really easy to tell which is a Switch 2 game also. But I'm not really sure how I feel about like this giant Nintendo Switch 2 like red banner that's going to be on top of every single physical game. I kind of like how they had like that little red icon in the corner that just told you it was a Switch game with the current Switch, but this red I feel like takes up so much of like the game case's space, but that seems like what we're going to have for the Nintendo Switch 2 games. And really kind of the sad thing is, like, on the Nintendo website, we can actually see here that it mentions something called Nintendo Switch 2 Game Key Card. And so it says here game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain full game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game to your system via the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the game key card into your system and starting it up like a regular physical game card. Here's what the game key card packaging looks like. And so it just tells you at the bottom that there's going to be a game key card for the game. So essentially this is kind of like those games where they only put like half the game on the cartridge for you and then you have to download the rest of the game. And so this is kind of sad because what it seems like now is that like you're not even going to have like a portion of the game or anything with it. Really, if you get the game physically, you're kind of just getting a key card basically, which is going to be like what the cartridge is. Like you put the cartridge into your system to be able to then access the game digitally, which really doesn't make any sense because at that point you could just download the game digitally and bypass having to put a cartridge into your system in the first place. Like it's basically just kind of a license. You're just buying a card license to be able to put into your system to then have like the license to be able to play the game. Like it's really kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about this. Like obviously they did do this with the current Nintendo Switch and they're just branding it as something different now, but I'm just really not a fan of this whole direction in general, and it's kind of unfortunate that they're really kind of just doing this, and it seems like sooner or later physical games are pretty much going to be dying and they really just want you to be buying games digitally. And finally, the last thing that we have is just an image of the home screen menu UI for the system and a little bit of footage for the eShop, and unfortunately it is pretty much exactly the same as what we have on the current Switch. Like we can just see a couple of new icons at the bottom for like the C game chat functionality and things like that, but otherwise it looks literally the exact same as the UI that we have right now. Very unfortunate. Like it doesn't even seem like there's going to be themes. Maybe they could add them, but like it just sucks because I was really hoping that the Nintendo Switch 2 was going to add much more personality and cool animations and stuff to the menu UI and all of that, but it is exactly the same. When it comes to the eShop, apparently they did say that it's going to run smoother and better now because of the Nintendo Switch 2's power, but it still just looks exactly the same as what we have with the current eShop. But apparently it does seem like there's going to be like a new game recommendations tab, so at least now you are going to have like a tab now to see games that could be more catered towards you, so that's good at least. But besides that, this was definitely one of the most disappointing parts for me out of the information, because I was really hoping to have like a cool menu UI and stuff, and I know some people might say, well, who cares, you just like use that to like load up the game anyway, but using the menus and stuff is still going to be a part of the system, and I was hoping that it was just going to be a better experience and looking kind of sharper and just having more cool animations and more charm and personality to it, but it still looks just as bland as what we have right now. But yeah, that's pretty much just kind of the info that we have about that. But with that, there you go guys, that is pretty much all the information that Nintendo shared today about the Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of amazing information that made me very excited, but there was definitely some things that made me let down as well. Definitely kind of a mixed bag, but I do think overall a majority of it is pretty positive. Like a lot of the stuff was very good and I am very satisfied with it and still going to be buying the system of course, but yeah, there's definitely some sad things like having a new Mario Kart game be $80 and stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well. I'm definitely gonna have some more videos talking about the Switch 2, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you think about this. How do you guys feel about the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and all the information about the system? Are you very excited by it? Are you a little disappointed? How do you feel about everything? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say about it, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.